We live in a time where masculinity is shamed and men don't know what it means to be a man. As a pastor and counselor, I've spent the better part of my life equipping and training others. My goal with this show is to translate my hard-earned experience into tools and tactics to help you become stronger as a man. This is the BraveCo podcast. I'm your host, Jason Bellet. Happy Father's Day, everyone. Man, hopefully you guys are having an incredible day. Maybe your kids made you some pancakes, or maybe your wife's going to make you an elk steak tonight or something good like that. But this episode is going to be awesome. I'm with my really good friend, Dave Harvey. It's all about fathers and fathering. So hope you enjoy it. All right. Hey, BraveCo men. This week I have my good friend, Dave Harvey, with me. Dave is the director of BLN, Bethel Leaders Network. And I'll let you explain that in a little bit. You also have a beautiful wife named Taff and 3 incredible kids. 3 boys. Yes. Actually. So you are steep in manhood, manliness, masculinity. But Dave, thanks for coming on today.
It is an honor, and hi, all the BraveCo men. We love what you guys are running after. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's so cool. We're going to get into kind of how we partnered together in Increase and what you did over there in a little while. But we've been together for a long time, running together. We both worked at the Bethel School of Ministry for, quite a while. What year did you come here?
2009. So we've been here almost 13 years. So
wow.
I don't know, 2012 I was brought on staff, and just for everyone to know, Jay was always the most fun guy in the staff. He would randomly attack us, and it was game on. So, physically wrestling in an admin department, bodies, everything. It was intense. So
and I think it was you and I. We had kind of practical jokes going back and forth.
Oh yeah.
And
gummy worms.
I think I
in
won
the freezer.
That one.
I don't know. I realized that you don't have a tap out button.
I don't have a filter.
You're just going to keep escalating.
No.
So I went, I'm going to tap out.
It's true.
It was good.
I have a problem with that. So I kind of have to warn people, like, if you start something, I typically go overboard trying to finish it.
Yeah.
And that I have, during my honeymoon, that didn't work out very well. I didn't know. It wasn't specifically on my honeymoon, but wasn't like anything sexual, but my wife would try to like fight. And
you would like fight.
Well, I wouldn't fight, but I would dominate. I would like hold her down, and then like she would splash water on me, and I would put her in the shower.
Oh my
with all her clothes on.
Yeah, gosh.
Well, I wasn't even trying to be mean. I just thought this is funny until she's in tears, right? Just crying. Oh. And she would always say like, I go like you're it, and you go, bah, you lose. As she's crying, saying that. So I had to learn a few things about myself.
Ouch.
So anyways,
we've known each other for a long time. I remember being afraid of you. In Australia, the leadership culture that I came from was kind of like you get in trouble a bunch, and so I was like, oh, that's Jason Ballard, and can't look him in the eyes. And I remember first time I could look in the eyes, it was such a cool moment just to see the Father's love coming out of you, and the you're just such a champion of people.
Thanks, bro.
So I love it. Yeah, we've known each other for a while. It's been fun.
It has been fun, and man, what you and Taff do at Bethel Leaders Network and championing people and all the leadership and teaching and is just phenomenal. So I want to dive in though. I want to hear about your story because you didn't grow up in the United States. In case you guys can't tell, he's got a weird accent.
I'm a dingo.
You are a dingo.
That's an Australian dog, if you're wondering. And they sometimes kill babies, but anyway, it's a whole thing. God. But it's so we grew up in Australia. I was one of 4 boys. So I grew up with
all boys runs in your family.
Yeah, the whole boys thing. Wow. Don't know how to make a girl still to this day. If anyone can tell me, we tried all.
We can
the
talk
secrets,
afterwards.
So yeah, grew up, and the baseline of the story was from a young age, I was that kid. I grew up in a Christian home. Mum and dad loved the Lord, word of faith, positive, great parents. Very poor, like we didn't have much, but that was cool. We would be locked out of the house between coming home from school and dinner time, because we would just eat everything. Like, we would empty the cupboards because we didn't have much money. Mum would be like, you can eat one thing and then you're out. And so she'd lock us out, and we'd go into creeks and rivers. And
were you out in the wilderness? Or
just like
the bush? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, the bush. In the Australian bush, and some kangaroos. There's some snakes and stuff, but you don't worry too much about that. So we were out killing stuff and blowing stuff up and just having some fun. But that was our childhood.
And are you the oldest or middle? Or
I'm
youngest?
the second. So older brother 6'4", I'm 6'2", and then a 6 foot third, and then the fourth is a 6'4". So we're all kind of tall, and for Australians anyway. And then good. We're all like so close. Everyone loves the Lord. They're pursuing the Lord with their families. They got kids.
Wow.
One day we'll get back to see him. We haven't been back for a while. But growing up, I was always that kid that would get the visiting prophet. We didn't have a prophetic culture. I'd have a prophet come in every 2 years and be like, pick people out. And I'd always get picked out. That skinny little white kid up the back, get up. And I'd hate it. I felt like Joseph sometimes, because I kept getting the words from these prophets that you're going to be an evangelist, you're going to see people healed and travel the world. And all my brothers were like, "Oh, you got another word?" And I was like, "I don't want them. I honestly don't want them. They're just coming." Anyway, fast forward, became a teacher. That's a whole story.
Like a school teacher?
Yeah, I never wanted to be a teacher. The Lord led me into it.
Wow.
And every year I wanted to quit university, and he said, "Stay there." And it was the most profound thing. And I remember in my 4th year of university, I'm like, God, I hate it. Who wants to be in school with kids that don't want to be in school? I don't want to be in school. Neither. And they don't want to be in school. And he said, change your attitude. It was like the most random word over me. And I'm like, change my attitude? Can I change my attitude? And I'm like, I can change my attitude. So I remember sitting at the table as a university student, in our kitchen. I'm like, I love teaching. I am going to be a great teacher. And I just said it like 4 or 5 times, and it was, grace came on me. And then,
so you were like, all right, I got to change my attitude. I got to change the way I'm talking about this.
Yeah.
I got to partner with what God's telling me.
Yeah.
And something happened.
And it released grace, because I decided, I don't know if I decided to change my attitude or I just agreed with him giving me the help to, but I changed. And then Taff's dad, my wife now, got me the job, my first job. And then she would come up after high school. So she's a little bit younger than me. She was 8.5 years younger.
Golly,
now,
Dave.
Don't go there, Jay. Just say it was all legal.
8.5 years younger.
Everything was legal. But she would come up and help me out marking the students' books. And she did piano practice at our little school, Christian school. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. I said, all right, God, I'll be a teacher. And I just don't want to be in a Christian school. I don't want to be with Christian kids. I want to be with real kids with real problems. And in that school, shouldn't have prayed that. In that school, we actually
found
had
real kids with real problems.
All the kids that were rejected from the state schools because they were so bad.
Wow.
They would come in, and so I could tell you stories. But that gave me a heart for the broken kids and the broken boys. So Taff would come up as a young girl. I waited a long time. We dated, got married, and then we actually got to do some ministry in our town with the most broken boys, using camping, and did stuff all around the state. And she was a social worker, and I was in full-time ministry after being a teacher. I moved into a Christian agency, and we just worked with the most broken boys. It was cool. Cool. There were some kids in our school, and when you go to their homes and you see what's going on in their home,
Golly.
My heart would break, and I'd be like, no wonder you're throwing a chair through your classroom wall they have no idea. You're in hell. And so that was cool seeing God break out in those realms and doing it with my new wife. And so, we moved here 2009. The Lord spoke to us 14 times over 18 months. Moved to America, moved to Bethel Church.
You must be hard of hearing.
Oh, we were very hard of heart, very hard of hearing. We just loved Australia, and we'd watch Seinfeld, and we'd watch The Simpsons, and we were like, who wants to move to that country?
Seinfeld and The Simpsons. Oh my gosh.
So we actually, the Lord got us through that, and he never once raised his voice, and he never once shouted. But when we said yes, there was a knock on our door from a real estate agent. The house was sold, and we've been here ever since. We thought we were here for 2 years, and now we have 2 Aussie kids and 1 proud American who is like almost like Donald Trump, like super blunt, super big personality. We don't know how we made something like that. And the other 2 are really nice Australians.
So they were literally born in Australia?
Yeah.
And one of them was born in the US.
So we came with Zeke, our eldest, was 2.5. And Jaden was 10 weeks old. So Taff gave birth, and then we came. And haven't been back since. And then
so your youngest, he knows that he's an American.
Oh, he's proud American. He's like,
and he carries it.
Oh my gosh, he's so American. Like, we love Americans. We love the confidence you have. We love it's just like, you don't mind the stage, you don't mind the microphone. It's a can-do thing. Yeah, he's big personality.
I like him. So of course I like him. There's a thing in Australia called the tall poppy syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Is that real?
Oh, 100%. We have a very sarcastic culture. And I remember coming here, going into the school of ministry, my revival group pastor said, Dave, she pulled me aside. Dave, you can't say those things. And I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I didn't realize that my sarcasm was cutting everyone down.
Yeah, I've had that problem
too. But
too.
that's all through Australia. So I remember your dad coming to our country and saying to 200 Christian leaders, all right, call out to me. Who are the heroes in Australia? Who are the heroes of this nation? Dead silence. And then he's like, guys, come on, don't hold back. Like, tell me, who are your heroes? Dead silence. And then someone whispers out from the front to him, Chris, we don't have any heroes. We cut them all down. And we have amazing leaders pop up, but the Aussies just cut one another down. So that's something that the Lord wants to redeem in Australian culture, and the strength that's in that side. I really feel like that's a strength that God's given the American culture. I think that can come out a lot more.
Yeah.
The kingdom can advance in Australia. So
and so basically, the tall poppy syndrome is really not allowing anyone to be great and to to shine, right? It's a jealousy, it's insecurity.
It's it's that thing of a poppy. If it grows too tall, if it grows taller than the other poppies, we're going to cut it off. Case in point, I shared this the other day to a group of leaders. I remember being at that same kitchen where I told you the Lord said, change your attitude. The phone rang about a yard or 2 away, and I pick it up, and it's one of our church board members. Hi, Dave. Oh, hi. How are you? Good. I'm just ringing to tell you you're not a leader.
No way.
I'm not joking. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wait, a guy calls you to tell you.
Yeah, in church leadership. So is your brother there? He's a leader. Like, where's your brother? And so anyway.
No way.
And that was how they brought my brother to be the youth pastor in this church. And I'm sitting there going, oh, that hurts. Anyway, so that was kind of that. And I don't think he meant anything malicious.
Bro, that was listen.
But as a young guy, that hit. Anyway, fast forward.
What was that guy's name?
I don't want to tell you. You'll take it too far. You'll be like, but fast forward how the Lord, and this is probably a message to everyone listening, God, the enemy tries to steal.
Yeah.
But wherever the enemy tries to steal, the Lord, he doesn't just pay back to zero. He repays back with a double portion.
It's true.
And I can tell you, so many parts of my manhood story have been redeemed. So now Taff and I run the Bethel Leaders Network for probably one of the greatest moves of God, greatest churches in the world. We humbly get to lead leaders and connect leaders all around the world in some of the most amazing cities and in spheres, like leaders in spheres that are innovating. And I sit there going, oh God, you're never finished with any one of us. So
it's so cool because, you know, the area that we get pushed back in, the area that we don't have a lot of confidence in, the area that we're afraid of, right? That the enemy's just like, you're not a leader, Dave.
Yeah.
God's like, how about you're a leader of leaders? How about we do that one? And I just love it. I love that about God. Yeah. He's so crafty like that. And I know so many men today are out there and they have these things, these names, right? I've talked about it quite a bit recently with BraveCo, but we have these names that we grow up with. Yeah. And they get put on us. Yeah. And for my dad, it would be like stupid ass, right? His stepfathers used to call him that. Yeah. And so you grow up with that inside of you and you think that that's who you are. And for me, one of them was irresponsible. Wow. Because I would take the trash, I'd get it almost out and I'd see my brother playing video games and I'd forget the trash and I'd go, and I'd just do that over and over and over again. Maybe a case of ADD, maybe just being a boy. Right. Yeah. And so I would have this thing like, oh, Jay, you're irresponsible. But God so wants to change those names in us. He wants to give us a new name. Yeah. And,
Bible's full of that, isn't it? Like, it is. Even the father of our faith, how he changed a name. Yeah. And it's an important thing that we listen to our self-talk and listen to the names we may even... So someone's told us we're X, Y, and Z and it's negative. But then when we own that and when we tell other people or we behave that way, we're just partnering with a stronghold. And
could you imagine if you would have kept that guy's voice in your head? Oh. Dave, you're not a leader. Yeah. Right. And not only that, but you're an Australian. Like, how dare you even think that you should be a leader? Because for years, like, we tear everyone down. Yeah. Who wants to be, man, it completely cut off your future legacy and rip everyone else off of this gift that you are. It's
and the awesome. Beauty is now seeing what my boys are going to step into. You know, what our boys are going to, the leaders they meet, the places they get to go, and this culture that you guys have built, that we're building, it's going to change the next generation.
It's so cool.
I'm pumped.
It's so cool. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with your dad. What was that like?
Oh man, this is a good question. My dad, I'll tell you a story which probably encompasses my dad. So the good things about my dad, he loved the Lord. So he would be sitting down in his basement listening to Billy Graham for 2 hours in the morning. But he was a cleaner. So, and worked hard. He taught me hard work, taught me to love the Lord. Yeah.
When you say he's a cleaner, like I've watched a lot of FBI shows and where like people get shot, right? And mob shows and they call it
like a high school cleaner, like
janitor,
trash janitor.
He's a janitor.
Janitor. And now, and to this day, he's 70 something, runs his own cleaning business still with mum. Okay. So taught me hard work, taught me to love the Lord. He taught me so many things, but because he was a cleaner, he was never around. So they're up early and they're out late. Yeah. And even when he was home, he was checked out. And I remember my dad, you know, we might be playing marbles, me and my brothers, and maybe once in 2 months, Dad might fly in for a second. What are you doing, boys? What's going on? What's going on? And give me a go of that. Throw a marble for a second. Then he's off and he's back fixing the car. Yeah. The boat, you know, all those things. So there was a moment that happened for me. I remember, and I must have just gotten used to dads just aren't around. I don't know what it was.
No, it's your normal.
And mum brought us up pretty much. And so your dad spoke this on Sunday a few weeks ago about many men have been brought up by their mums. Yeah. And that's why they're passive. That's why they're this and that. And I'm sitting there going, KV, you have no idea. That's my story. So I took up Australian football as a young kid, skinny, you know, bony, bit of fight, but, you know, and Australian football, for those that don't know, is 18 aside. It's on an oval. This is not rugby.
18 aside.
18 aside. So 36 players on a big oval, huge oval. And you have to hand pass, so punch a ball, kick a ball to each other and kick it then through some really tall posts. My dad never came. I cannot remember one sporting event my dad came to.
Wow.
Except once. Check this out. He came to one football game, and we're out in the boonies, we'd say in Australia, like out in the sticks, out in the bush, and we were playing away. And I knew that day my dad was driving up with Mum, and that he was in a car parked around this giant oval. The parents would park their cars, and I knew my dad was there. And now I wasn't like super pumped. I wasn't like, but something changed in me that day. It was insane. I became literally superhuman. Jay, I don't know if I could do it even to this day.
Wow.
The ball, like there's so many risky moments in football where the ball's kicked up high and you either have to have the guts to wait underneath and mark it and you just get destroyed if that's you, or, there's so many, every one of those where I would normally run or cower, I became like I was, twice my size, twice my body weight, and I took marks. I remember running over people, knocking the biggest guys over and stepping on their chests with my boots. Then we got like big stops, and I was just like crushing people. I was unstoppable. And I think what it was God was showing me, this is in hindsight now, God was showing me the power of that father bond. Yeah. And knowing that my dad was there cheering for me, changed everything. I got 9 votes that day. So 3 referees are on a field. They all can give up to 3 votes. I got 9 votes that day. I never got votes before or after that.
Are those fouls?
No, like votes at the end of the year, they tally the votes, and the best player is the player that has the most votes in all the games.
Wow.
For one game, I got 9 votes.
No way.
And I never got them before or after.
No way.
It was like this subconscious thing. Anyway.
Did it dawn on you, like, after that game, like, I could play like this forever? Did that dawn on you?
I don't know. Maybe it tipped me a bit more towards that, but there was definitely something that the Lord was revealing about there is power in fathers cheering for their kids. And not only, if you don't have a dad cheering for you, Father God is at every one of your games, and he's on the front of the car standing up yelling, go for it, take him down, you got this. It's almost like such a powerful moment for me to go, oh, I need dads in my life. And where I don't have him, or I may not have him in a moment, I got the best dad. And he's cheering for me like blue. And that makes me supernatural. Yeah. That makes me do things I can't do.
So was that a pain point in your life, like knowingly? When you were growing up, were you like, everyone else's dad's here, my dad's not? Or was it just like, that's just kind of the way that it is?
Yeah, I think at the start it was painful, but then it just became, that's just the norm.
Yeah.
And when you're poor, you're quite innovative. You're just always sucking it up. So after a while you're just like, whatever, just be tough. So didn't share my emotions much. I remember as a kid, probably 13, bawling for the first time ever, and I'm on my bed on the floor. Must have had guests that night, and I'm like bawling. Mum comes in and goes, what's wrong, and I'd say, I don't know. And then she said, no, what's wrong? And I said, I just want to be a real boy.
Wow.
We were brought up in this culture of, again, a word of faith. You could never express how you're feeling. You could never share anything bad. Otherwise there's punishment, or you're lacking faith, or, you're partnering with the devil. Like, it was awful. Totally. And so I remember I felt like Pinocchio. I just felt like, I want to be a real boy kind of thing. I couldn't, and it just burst out of me at 13. I must have been weeping for years of not. But again, not till I've come here, honestly, till we've come to Bethel and been in a culture where it's okay, where God's not afraid for you to say, hey, I've got leprosy. Yeah. Can you heal me?
Yeah, I'm having a bad day today.
I'm having a bad day today. Or and fathers don't cut you off, but they actually run towards you.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that there is one of the secret sources for healing the world. Is more of those dads out in the world.
Yeah.
And sons knowing they can come to a safe dad. So.
Yeah. I think it's so challenging. Your story, although unique, is not all that unique in the sense that so many men and women are growing up with a father that was there, but maybe checked out, or not even having a dad, right?
Yeah. And
it really is. I love that picture of your dad coming to one game, and you're like, you see the potential of what happens when maybe your dad imparts courage and he doesn't even know it, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's a beautiful picture. Courage is something that you can't encourage somebody. I can give you my courage. Yeah. And it reminds me of David and the Mighty Men, and there's tons of stories where these guys were the outcasts, or the ones that nobody loved, nobody wanted, and they get around David, and they're just hanging out, and they become like David, right? They have his courage. Yeah. They're special now. Yeah. Somehow these guys are just special. Yeah. They get the best brought out of them. And when I think about your story, it's really kind of all of our story. And on one way or another it's so hard to imagine God is just sitting on the sideline cheering me on. Really. Yeah. It's hard to know that deep down. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like we're pastors. Yeah. We pastor and we teach that stuff. Yeah. But like when you're at home and growing up, it's hard to have that mindset. Yeah. Or like even just raising your kids or having a tough day. It's hard to be like, oh, I'm cool because God's on the sideline cheering me on right now. Like that kind of stuff. The revelation of who God is. Yeah. That starts at such a young age. You have a dad that's disconnected. Oh, God's disconnected. Yeah. You have a dad that's super connected. Oh, God's right here. That's easy to imagine. Yeah. But it really is a challenge, you know, and I think that some of the greatest breakthrough comes when we are real about, holy cow, I had a dad that provided, like monetarily, and provided food, and those things are awesome, and in some ways did his best, but didn't know how to nurture, didn't know how to bring out, right, the connection, build the strong connection with me is probably really what the word I'm looking for, and that can be a challenge for a young man. Yeah. And to actually overcome and get to the place where he trusts God. Yeah. And he knows God. Yeah. And he feels God there. Yeah. So it's like, it doesn't matter if my dad's here or not, God's here. Yeah. Like I rarely feel like that, even at my age, right? Yeah.
It's something that the Lord has made us for, but we are made to connect to him and to connect to physical flesh and blood fathers. So I think sometimes, to your point, if we haven't had that as a kid from our biological dad, I really believe there's grace right now. I can sense it, Jay, in the air. There's grace for people to ask God for fathers and mothers in their lives that they can be real with. Yeah. But that just see the greatness in them, that see them, future present, not all the junk. And so that's happened in my life. Like now, and I love my dad, and I had to go through counseling, and I just went through that, just recently, where I did a session with John Ash, one of our leaders in Ireland, and I actually had to let out, like I did when I was 13, let out the pain of just, Dad, you weren't there for me. Yeah. But then embrace my dad at the end of that encounter and go, but I forgive you, and I'm okay with you, and come on inside. And something shifted inside of me when I went through that. So I would encourage men, if you got that, you can go after that stuff with the right counseling, and you can actually resolve some of that. But then, after that, the Lord's brought some of the most amazing dads. Like your dad is just priceless.
He's a cool guy.
To Taff and I, beautifully honest and beautifully, but there's love, even when it's like an iron sharpening iron, there's love. And it's like, you got this. Yeah. It's never like, you're not a leader. It's kind of like, it's like, you're made for this. And even recently, I've had great favor from the Lord with business leaders at different times. And now I've got a guy who's from my dad's country that he was from, and he's a billionaire, and he's just like, let's just jump on a call once a month. And I remember when the offer was made, I'm like, what am we, I've never allowed myself to be fathered.
Yeah.
I've always just made do with what I had, make it up along the way.
Yeah.
But now, and then I've got great brothers that I run with as well, like friends that I am vulnerable with. So I've got like these cool leaders that are way out in front. I've got brothers that are around me that we're being even more real with each other and even more vulnerable. I've got the best wife as well, obviously, but I think the Lord is redeeming that, and where the enemy's stolen, now I have someone who's so smart, super wealthy, that's just like,
wants to give you their strength.
They want to give strength, there's no agenda for them.
So cool.
And I sit there going, this is what fatherhood is. It's like, I see your greatness, I want to make you great.
It's so cool.
It's amazing.
And it's a picture of what God wants to do with men in the world. That Malachi 4 mandate. He wants to restore the sons and fathers, and it's really true. And I think for guys out there that are thinking about themselves or listening to this podcast driving down the road and like, man, they're a little bit jealous, right? They look at you, they're hearing you talk, and they're like, I don't have that. I don't got that millionaire, that billionaire that's hunting me down. I don't got a great father. To me, it two things. Like, it starts with you being willing to be fathered again. Yeah. And you facing a little bit of your own stuff, right?
100%.
Because unknowingly you push fathers away. Yeah. And we do. Or we hide from them.
Yes.
We do because of fear, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I push things away that I'm afraid of. But it starts with us going like, okay, God, I want to know your goodness. And I want to experience your goodness. And I didn't experience that when I was young. And I want to experience it through men. And I want to experience it through you as well. And that's why I love what we're doing with discipleship. Like, come on, we're not just giving guys a bunch of information. And I know that I'm talking about me, right? Like BraveCo right now, but I think this is why it's so important, right? This is why discipleship is so important, is because in discipleship specifically, I lend my strength to you. And you get to lend your strength to me. It's this interdependent type of incredible relationship where you get that brother. Sometimes it's father-son type of relationship in BraveCo. Sometimes it's brother-brother, where I'm giving you my strength, you're giving me your strength. And then, so I really think that's why this stuff is so important, because you can go to church for as long as you want to. You can be a pastor. You can be a pastor like me. But until you actually face the stuff that's in your past,
so good.
Allow yourself to be fathered again. Right. And allow yourself to be a real brother, where you're there for somebody. We're not going to live up to our full potential. And to me, that's the key, right? Like, God wants to unlock our full potential.
Come on.
And you can't, it's your full potential. Here's what I see with your dad. Your full potential is locked up in somebody else. Like, dad shows up, full potential's released. I'm the same. And it's that courage. I learned how to preach because my dad said, "You're going to preach today." Wait, what? Are you kidding me? No, thanks. And so many things that I did in my life growing up was because my dad said, "Hey, today you're going to do it." And I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't working off of my courage. I was working off of his. And I think that's true for, I have some guys around me that are incredibly strong. some of it's for business with BraveCo and figuring out like, what do we do and how do we run BraveCo? And it's a nonprofit, but it's still business, right? I still have to put on a hat that I didn't have before, but I have these guys who've done it for way longer than I have. And they're going, hey, let's talk through this, Jay. But that's also God. Yeah. Right? Like that's God's gift to me is he's teaching me a new facet of him through my friends. Come on. Which is so cool. Yeah. Because I don't have to figure it all out on my own.
Yeah. And I think the enemy wants to get men alone.
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
He wants the enemy wants to break up homes, wants to break up marriages, wants to break and also the end result of that is I want to get people isolated. Yeah. Even you look at the way the LGBTQ, the fruit of that, it's not a connected society. It's a fragmented, self-centered society. But God came that we would have family. And God started this revival in family in the Garden of Eden and said, let's kick the devil off. And so it only can be accomplished in family. So you gotta realize that if the enemy's got you on a little dirt hole by yourself, that's not God's plan for your life. Get off of it and just get your boat over to where all the people are. Tell someone.
It's so true.
Just be honest.
It's so true.
Start the process of getting truth out, letting the light in, and you watch. Don't be jealous of my story because God will probably double my story for you. Like he'll probably give you leaders beyond your dreams. And again, it's not just about us. Mm-hmm. We're not being fathered so we get all healed up and significant. It's for our boys and our girls, our children. Why has God put a billionaire in my life? I know it's not really for me and Taff. It's really because, and he doesn't know this, my boys for years have had prophetic words that they'll be in business and steward finances and all that. I always thought they'd be in ministry and all that, but the Lord's like, no, this is their path. Let's hope. And so I sit there going, God thinks generationally.
It's part of their inheritance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's really hard to underestimate the value or overestimate the value of fathers. Yeah. And I think back to that story of the elephants in Kruger National Park.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It's the craziest, best story. Just to paraphrase it really quick, is Kruger National Park had an overpopulation of elephants. Yeah. And I know you know this story.
So good.
But just for everyone in the audience. So they devised a plan to create a harness and helicopter one by one these elephants out, because elephants are so massive. They couldn't do it any other way.
I can't imagine.
But the male elephants, the big bull male elephants, were ripping the harnesses. So they moved the smaller elephants and the female elephants over to this other park. And within a very short period of time, they were finding all this chaos in the park, like dead white rhinoceroses. Yes. And so at first they thought it was poachers, but then they realized, well, there's nothing gone. Like the horn's still there. And these things are just like gored and stomped and everything's crazy. So they put up these cameras and started to watch these young bull elephants literally kill all the other wild game, ruin stuff, kill these rhinoceroses, and they're not known enemies. So that's the other thing that you should know is when listening to this, like rhinoceroses and elephants are pretty cool with one another, but what scientists suspected was that these young male elephants were getting stuck in what's called must, which is it's like their mating season, this mating frenzy. Yeah. And therefore they were overly aggressive. And not only that, but they had no one to lead them. Wow. All they had was mom. Wow. And other brothers. Right. So, which is what I love about the story is you can go look it up. Like this is not like something we made up, pastors made up. Like this is a real story. Right. So they fly, they fix the harnesses up. They make them more sturdy. They fly in a couple male elephants, and within a couple weeks, all of it stopped. All of the chaos. Wow. All of the aggression. And it was because the male elephants taught them how to behave.
So true.
And here's the thing. The male elephants didn't take away their power.
Yeah.
They taught them how to restrain their strength.
Yes.
And I love that. It's such a picture of where we're at today in our society.
Yeah.
And fathers, we were meant to be strong. We were meant to be dangerous. We were meant to have a massive carrying capacity in high leadership levels. And we're all called to be leaders. Your friend was wrong. We're all called to be leaders
Come on.
in our world and leaders of leaders. But without a father leading the way, we take our strength and we use it against one another.
Yes.
We begin to compete.
Yeah.
And we get that tall poppy syndrome, right?
Yeah.
No one can be great.
Yeah.
If I can't be great, no one's going to be great around me.
Yeah.
And God wants to do the opposite. He wants to take us, and he wants to show all of the greatness that we have.
So
and
good.
he wants to take us and move us into a place of great leadership and authority that is under restraint, right?
So good.
Which is, it is so good. One of the things that I love the most that we've done, and it was your idea. You're an author, and you've authored several books for the ministry, for several ministries, but for the Leaders Network, you created these testimony books.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I think people hear the word testimony, they're like, oh, come on. Think about injections of bravery and courage.
Yeah.
Like that's what a testimony is, right?
So true.
Like in our culture, we say a testimony is the spirit of prophecy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if God did it for you, right, he can do it for you or for me or for anybody else.
Yeah.
And so we live and die by testimonies. And so you created these books with testimonies. And that's also what I love about our story, right? So I tell guys, you got to weaponize your story.
Yeah. Come on.
You got to take the things that you did in the past that were bad, right? The things that you got hung up in. Like for me, it was the oral sex with other boys and the masturbation, the pornography. People don't use that against me. I use that as a weapon to pull guys out of hell.
So good, Jay.
Yeah, it's so fun because I'm not afraid of my past.
No.
I'm actually I'm cutting some of lies off the enemy and off of other men. And so when we launched BraveCo, you're like, Jay, I want to help in the area that I can lend my strength in. Literally, like you said, I want to help build a testimony book for BraveCo.
Yeah.
I want to give guys ammunition.
Yeah.
I want them to read and see what God has done for somebody else and go, oh, that's what he's doing. It's almost a roadmap, right?
Yeah.
It's not a roadmap because we're telling you where you're going to go. It's a roadmap because we're telling you who he is, what God does, what the capacity, capability is built into man. It reminds me of when Bannister broke the 4-minute mile.
Come on, Jay.
Right? No one had broke the 4-minute mile ever. And scientists were saying it's impossible.
Yeah.
Like a human being can't run a 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
The year that Bannister broke it, several other people broke it, right? Because all of a sudden we saw what was possible.
Yeah.
That's what this book is. And so we don't have a ton of time, but I would love if you just read one of your favorites in here.
Yeah.
Because this is a testimony book. It's a BraveCo increased testimony book. And we have some super cool stories in here about fatherhood, about God coming through. And I'm super excited about it.
So good. I mean, Jay, you nailed it on the head, the 4-minute mile thing. We've got a world that's like, what is a father?
Yeah.
You know, we watch all the animations and all the kids shows, and it's all fathers are ditzy and
dumb,
stupid and not present and all those things. So the Lord just said, hey, why don't you and Jay build a mosaic of what's possible in fatherhood, where I have stepped into fathers, put them on in the realm of raising kids. You know, what are some of the best testimonies in that? Or what are some of the best testimonies where I've put a father on in marriage or in sexuality or in, leadership? And so I love this book. Was a joy to produce in that sense, because I got to mix with some of the most incredible, famous and people you'll never know that are the greatest dads. And so this book it's a treasure. And I mean, you could put it in the bathroom, you could have it on your coffee table. But it's loaded with hope, like you said, Jay. One of my favorites is this one. This one happened with a guy who's in business, and he just had this cry. He said, God, I don't want to be a normal stock trader. He ran his own stock company, so managing millions and millions of dollars. And he's like, God, I want to be like Daniel. So I think he told me he prayed for about 18 months for the gift of Daniel, to know what was going to happen before it would happen. Wow. Do you want me to read it or just want me to summarize it?
You can just summarize it. That's fine.
So basically, check this out, guys. Just before the COVID-19 thing hit, he said he felt in his spirit the Lord speak and say, go to cash right now.
Go to cash. What do you mean?
So if you can imagine, he's got, like, let's say he had 50 clients, multi-millions of dollars in each one. Sell everything now, right now. And the market's still going up, like it's been going up for years. This is before COVID was announced or anything. Go to cash right now. So he does it. And then I think it was the next day or 2 days later, kaboom, the market drops. And basically his phone it's lit up, which every investor's phone was lit up. And his client's like, oh no, what's the damage? You know, what's going on? Like, have we lost everything? Because the market, as everyone knows, it crashed.
Hammered.
And he goes, well, I don't know what to tell you, but we're actually making money, and we haven't lost any, but we're actually making so much money. You guys are better off. So he then began to get known as the God trader. And so his billionaires that were investing with him would tell their friends, oh, you should invest with my guy because he talks to God and God tells him. So now he can't take any more clients, but he's lent into something where Father God was giving him an invitation to innovate. And
which is so cool because it's available for everyone, right? Like that's the cool thing about this is God wants to impart wisdom and knowledge and secrets that help us in life and help us to grow. The whole book's full of those. There's like cool color pictures in there. And my favorite thing about the book is this back piece.
Oh, I love it. This was such a good idea.
We have this part that's called My Letter to a Father. And sorry, it makes me emotional. Like, the awesome thing about this book is you have an opportunity to write in the back how your father's blessed you, or a father in your life has blessed you, and give this book to him as a thank you, and again as like a testimony of what God's doing in men. And so we wanted to create a place where a son, or even a father, could write a story if he wants and give it to his son, and just share his story, what he sees in his son. But we wanted to create that in the back, and a place where you can gift this. And so anyways, I'm super stoked for these. They are on pre-order. So they're not available yet. We tried to make them available for Father's Day, but they'll be available for order right now. Actually, you can go to braveco.org, go to our shop page, and order this book. It's going to come soon. And so for Father's Day, it's a great gift.
It's a brilliant gift.
And I'm just so stoked to have done this project with you, Dave. And
it's an honor, Jay.
Yeah, and to have ran with you for such a long time, and to watch you be a leader and a leader of leaders. I would love it if you would just pray for the men, and just maybe impart just a little bit of some courage and faith to them as we wrap up.
Well, Father, I just want to thank you for the man that is on the other end of this microphone, that's listening to me pray right now. And Father, I pray for him. I pray, firstly, that he would know that he is seen by you, but more than that you are with him, and that you are not distant, and you're not disappointed and you're not angry, but you are there cheering him on. So I pray for the presence of you, great Father, to manifest over men right now, no matter where they're at, no matter if they're in the middle of sin or they're made a big error or they might be in their greatest victory. Would you manifest, Father of fathers? And I pray that anywhere the enemy is stolen, Isaiah 61 verse 7, that instead of their shame, you would give them a double portion. Instead of humiliation, they would shout for joy over their portion. I pray for favor and increase on them, God, that you would bless them where the enemy's tried to steal.
Yeah.
And I pray for dads around them. I pray you supernaturally bring safe dads around them. And God as well, you ignite in them a fire to become a safe brother or a safe father to other people. God, we pray that you raise up a movement of fathers who are turned towards the sons and daughters and sons who are turned towards the fathers. And we just pray, make it global, God, and bless Jay and BraveCo like crazy. Amen.
Amen. Dave, thanks so much for coming on today. And man, it's just so much fun.
Loved it.
Yeah. And guys, listen, have an incredible week. Be brave and go live a life worth living.
Yeah.
Something that you love to live.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys next week. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the BraveCo podcast. If you like this podcast, would you please rate it, review it, leave us a great comment. And if you like this episode in particular, share it with your friends and family. That helps us to spread the word. Guys, stay brave. We'll see you next week.